Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here, and I am finally doing my freaking PlayStation 5, size super thick video. Just did my video for the insane debacle that was the Microsoft pre-order after the Sony pre-order debacle and the RTX Nvidia pre-order debacle. So I talked about that, so if you guys are interested, definitely check that out. Let me know your thoughts on that there, or here if you're interested, since you're already here if you want to. But I wanted to talk about the PS5 and how insanely huge it is. I did my measurements. It is, and I have my TV fortunately, so it is. I almost knocked all my stuff over. 15.4 inches tall. That is, I think if I count it, if I remember right, 26 PS4 games. This is the PlayStation 5 right here. I don't need my phone right now unless I just turned off my camera. I didn't, we're good. This is the PlayStation 5. All of these games right here. That's the PlayStation 5. That's how tall it is. It's probably going to be a bit more symmetrical because I've been knocking stuff all around. PS5. These are games, and that feels a little heavy to me. I mean, it's not like it's going to be insane, but this is pretty much it. I'm off by like maybe a millimeter, maybe a centimeter, something like that, because I know this one's like a little bit weird. It's a little bit thinner, but pretty much exact. This is the size of the PS5. That's insane to me. And then we have the length of the PS5, and I already measured this part out, so we'll just that's the width. That's the width of the PlayStation 5. As you can see, that's crazy to me to physically do this. And look down. That is the PlayStation 5. That's a PlayStation 5. 26 games high. 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. 18 games wide. That's insane. That's too much. I just realized if I screw this up, all my games are out of order because I have alphabetical. I need to be super careful. They're dropping. That's Assassin's Creed. It's fine. They're all A's. I'll figure that out. So yeah, that's the PS5. That's how insane that is. So it's freaking huge, and it's also 4.09 inches wide. So if you were basically looking at it top down, it's 4.9 inches wide. Whatever that, it's 4 inches. It's almost 5 inches. That's how wide it is. So that's how wide it is. That's crazy. That thing is ridiculous. It's almost as tall as this Galaga thing. I literally only brought this out because I remembered I had it earlier today, and I was like, I have not seen this in like a year. Ever since I moved here, I put it up because it doesn't match anything, and I was just like, oh yeah, I have a Galaga pillow. It's about as big as the PlayStation 5, at least tall. It's about as tall. It's probably as wide, almost as wide. Who knows? But let's see. So this Galaga pillow. Let's say we go to the base here. Yeah, it's about 15. Yep. Yep. It's a little over 15 and a half width. So this is basically boom. Here's your PS5. This is the PS5 right here. That is insane. We have moved beyond the days of the tiny PS2. Look at that. We'll never have this. I mean, maybe in like another 15, 20 years, we might get back to this and be, 100 teraflops in this tiny little thing because technology will be so far advanced. But we're not here anymore. We've moved beyond even this. And this is still like, this is still fairly heavy. It's decent size. It was the first vertical console, at least the first one I can think of. I'm pretty sure everything else was horizontal, Super Nintendo, NES, and all that stuff. So first one to hit like, that vertical style where you can have it straight up, you can have it sideways. Of course, the original Xbox was the big thing. Even the controller for the original Xbox was the biggest thing ever. And it's like, okay, this thing is nuts. This isn't like, it's just interesting. And the crazier thing is, it makes me wonder what exactly Microsoft is doing, because their console isn't that big. And if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, the Xbox Series X is technically more powerful than the PS5. If I'm not mistaken, that is true. I know for a fact that it has 1 terabyte, while the PS5 only has 825 gigabytes, which really sucks, by the way. I just thought that was interesting. I was like, well, how come they couldn't pull that off? So it definitely brings up a lot of questions where I'm like, how come Sony couldn't pull that off? They have technically less specs. And ultimately, I think it just boils down to the fact that Microsoft is computers. Like, they've been in the game. Like, they know, like, okay, here's exactly how we minimize 100%. Like, maximum minimization, 100% efficiency. At least we'll see. We'll see when the consoles come out what goes wrong and stuff like that. I don't think we'll ever go back to like, the red ring for Xbox, or I think it was the yellow light for PS3 when that was happening. So I hope, of course, for anyone that ends up getting those consoles, that we definitely don't go through those issues, because that would just suck for people that have the consoles. I don't want anyone to get a brick console that really sucks. So I hope that doesn't happen, of course. But it's definitely interesting, because I'm like, it does make me wonder what's going on with Microsoft. But ultimately, like I said, I think it really does boil down to the fact that they've just been computers. They've always been computers. They know what they're doing. They know how to make computers, and that's basically what they did. So they're like, all right, we're going to kick it up to 11. And PlayStation was like, well, we'll kick it up to 11 as well. It's like, okay, here's the Xbox Series X. And it's like, oh crap, that's small. And then Sony came out and they're like, okay, well, this is the PlayStation 5. Yeah, that's basically what just happened. So it's interesting. I still want a PlayStation 5. I would love an Xbox. I'm not gonna buy one though. You can't buy anything right now anyway, so it's all speculative. It doesn't really matter. But it's huge, and that is insane to me. I don't know where in the world that thing's gonna go when I eventually get one. If I am here, I guess I'll just be trading out my PS3, because my PS3 is like full on messed up. So I have to like get some files offline, and I just haven't even bothered to do that in forever. So I guess I'll be removing my PS3, even though I have my 4 consoles under my TV. It's my PS3, PS4, my Wii U, and my 360. I don't play anything but my PS4 at this moment, but at least the Wii U works. At least my 360 works, although I have to figure out what the F my login information is, because once again, Xbox is doing some of the old stupid stuff they used to do. I can't freaking play some of my games because I have DLC. Like the last time I was playing the game, I was trying to show a friend of mine Dead Space, because she was like huge into horror and she didn't play games. So I was like, you need to see Dead Space. And I didn't want to start the whole game over, because I was like, I just want to pick up my stuff and then, start the game and have all my weapons and cool stuff like that and just kind of go through and enjoy it. And I still would have enjoyed it because it's Dead Space and it's amazing. And I still hope one day we get Dead Space 4, even though it won't happen. But I literally could not start the game with my save file because I wasn't connected to my Xbox account, and it was like, oh, you have DLC, which I thought the whole point of DLC was it's downloadable content, which means I downloaded it. It read the fact that it was downloaded, but because of their stupid issues back in the 360 days, and I think they, the beginning of the Xbox One days, it was like, you can't play this game anymore. Same with Scott Pilgrim. I had that on my 360, but I can't play the game unless I'm online, and then it's like the full version of the game. Fortunately, that's coming back, so we're good, but yeah, little stuff like that. But still have my 360. It still works. Have my Wii U under there. It still works. PS3 does not. So I guess that's where the PlayStation is going. I would love to have it vertical. This is probably the first time where I've seen a console and I was like, I think it really fits it a lot better to be vertical. The one with the disc drive, which is the one I'm eventually going to get, because I like to have my physical stuff. Current issue, as I just mentioned, Dead Space and the Scott Pilgrim stuff, 2 prime examples of why I just like having my physical stuff. Although I guess DLC was irrelevant. It's just that is what it is. But I like the console vertically. The physical version though just always looks weird. That's the one thing that really sucks about the PS5. I was like, dang, I love the look of the digital version because it's fully symmetrical. It has that V shape, which V for 5. Someone pointed that out, during like the first conference, and I was like, oh, or like one of the videos after. I was like, huh. Didn't notice that. It's like that because it's a V for 5. So the disc drive version is just like, oh, that's interesting. It's like just that weird little bit, like it's down and it's just like, and it's just out, and I'm like, my OCD is gonna hate that. So I don't know. I still think it kind of looks a little bit better if it's vertical versus horizontal, but it doesn't matter what I think because it's 18 feet wide. So it's probably going to be horizontal. I'm probably going to be swapping out my PS3. If I decide to have it vertical, it would literally have to be behind my TV, and I would just have to like move my router over because I have that unfortunate setup where everything is like literally behind the TV. That's just how I have it set up in my apartment because unfortunately that's just how it is. Like my PC is like basically next to my little kitchen, we'll call it. So it's like a little ways over, and then I have my TV like right in the center, kind of like basically where you guys are. Directly behind you is where the TV is. So it's like TV and then little bookshelf for games, big bookshelf for figures and other nerdy random stuff. And then even further over, a little bit, just a tiny bit, that's where my computer is. So I guess technically in front of my big bookshelf. So everything already like goes over. I'm always tripping on cords. I've broken like 2 sets of headphones because I've had them plugged into my computer on the ground, and then I walked and just snapped them, and I was like, But I don't have space. I don't have anything. Like, I need to like buy another little bookshelf so my like computer is high up, and that might make it even harder to get the cords to reach unless I buy like super long HDMI cords. So that's a whole me issue. But the PS5 is freaking huge, and that's interesting. And I'm very curious to see some comparisons when the consoles officially come out, especially with the Xbox. I should have just said Series X. I don't know why I even bother saying Xbox anymore. I'm just going to go with letters. With the X coming out, and it's definitely smaller. You know, we've seen, I've seen videos. You can definitely check them out where you see the S and you see the X together, and they both look really cool, and they have simple designs. I actually like the S design a lot. I think it looks really, really cool as this like small little white box, and it's just like, oh, it's cool. You know, the memes were perfect. Of course, it does kind of look like a tiny boombox. But I like the design. I like the design of the S more than the X. I think the X really does just look like a mini fridge. But the S is like, okay, because it's thinner and it's still, you know, it's a rectangle instead of just, well, I guess they're both rectangles. It's a thin rectangle rather than a 3-dimensional rectangle, if you get what I mean by that. I love the design for it. I think it looks really cool. The X is okay. The video that I saw, I found out that the green on the top is actually a thing. It's just paint. It's not a light or anything like that. It's literally just green, and when you look straight down or you look at a certain angle, it looks like it's lighting up because they made it fluorescent green. But it's not a light. It's actually just paint right underneath the black. And I thought that was super cool. I was like, oh, I always thought that was a light, because of course there are always mock-ups, you know, when they show all this stuff like in the Sony conference, and you just see it online when they show the Xbox stuff. It's like, okay, you see how the consoles look. I always thought that was their little flare. Like when you turn it on, that's the light. Like the light is like this really, you know, I figured it would always be like a very low light sort of deal. And it was just at the very top, like that's where the light is. But it's not. It's actually just paint. It's just meant to look like the light. And so they made it fluorescent because, you know, of course, when you look at it, it's jet black. And then it's like, oh, fluorescent green. It looks like it's lighting up. Like that contrast actually makes it look brighter than it truly is. So that was a genius concept. I thought that was super cool. When I found that, I was like, I thought that was a light, and it's just really bright paint. Good idea. So yeah, I love the design for the consoles, at least for the Xbox side. PlayStation, it's like, I definitely, like I said, the digital version I think looks good. PlayStation, physical is like, that slight little bump of asymmetry just kind of sucks. And it really blows, because I'm like, man, I wish it could just be like right in the middle no matter what. Like if it was just both physical and digital look exactly the same, except there's just there's a slit like straight in the middle. But obviously there are other components, and that's why it can't be that way, unfortunately. But who knows? The PS5 Pro or whatever's going to happen, they might figure that out. They might be like, okay, we're able to rearrange some things. The technology is simpler. We kind of got on that Xbox, attractive vision, and we figured out how to streamline some of our tech, same specs, smaller sizes. And they might be able to pull that off. So you might get like the PS5 Pro, and it could legitimately be just like the digital version, where it doesn't have the little bump. It's fully symmetrical, and who knows, it might have a terabyte hard drive, which I kind of cannot believe the PS5. Once again, Xbox has all this stuff, better specs, and 1 terabyte, and PS5, all the specs, technically lesser, and they couldn't do 1 terabyte. So I was blown away by that when I found that out. I was like, how could they not match 1 terabyte? And I just thought that was crazy. So maybe it's some of the deals Xbox has. Once again, it's Microsoft. Also, $7.5 billion deal that they just did. They got some, whatever money. They clearly have whatever money. So that could be a part of why that happened, where they were able to do that and figure out how to make it smaller and everything like that. That could have just been more expensive for them. Who knows? I don't know all the mechanics, but that could be a part of it. It could just be less so the fact that they have the experience, more so the fact that they have the money from said experience. So that could be how they were able to streamline it for themselves. And Sony was just like, we can't spend that much money to shrink it down that hard. It's big, deal with it. You want it. That's how it's going to be. So it is what it is. I'm excited for when the PS5 comes out, because I think that's going to be a brand new round of memes. People just being like, here's how big it's a baby. They are birthing children. That's what they're doing. Like, they're not just children. They're popping out, 15 inches, they're popping out like 2-year-olds. Like the PS5 is a 2-year-old baby. So it's going to be big. It's going to be serious. I would love to know your thoughts on where the PS5 is going to sit on your shelf, or maybe even on your floor, because that might be the only space you have. You might have to rent out a new room to your PS5. Like, you got to pay rent to be here, man, because you're too big. I don't know. I would love to know where you guys plan on putting your PS5, how you're clearing out space, rearranging things. Is there a new console going in the closet? You know, all my old stuff is in the closet. I think we all have that old console that's, tucked away. So my PS2s, they're put in the closet because I don't play them anymore. Actually, neither of them even work. The freaking slim one I specifically bought because my original one stopped working. And the disk drive on this doesn't work because it's not the disk drive, but when it closes, it doesn't actually spin. I guess that is the disk drive. It doesn't, actually, I think that was my issue. I think it was that it never technically closed. So maybe even though it closes for me, it doesn't register. Or maybe back in the day, it literally wasn't closing. But either way, the disc wouldn't spin, so I couldn't play any of my games. So I don't even know if the laser works or not. Point is, those are backed up. Those are, tucked away. The original Xbox is tucked away. The GameCube is tucked away. The Dreamcast is tucked away. NES, Super Nintendo, all that stuff is there. And now we're moving into the next generation. And it's like, oh, crap. Something else might hit the closet now. And considering my PS3 is legit screwed up, which is really sad because I still need to freaking play through the Ninja Gaiden games and my Metal Gear games and the other 3 games that are technically still in plastic. So who knows? Collector's items, I doubt it. But it might be going in the closet. I just don't know. And who knows? Considering how big the PS5 is, I'm gonna have to measure my freaking bookshelf, my TV stand, just to see if it'll fit. So who knows? That that's not for another year and a half for me anyway. 2 years, and we'll see what happens with the PS5 and price drops, because it's gonna need to come down a little for me. But we'd love to know your thoughts on the insane size of the PS5. Where is it gonna go in your collection? What is it gonna replace? Just how is it gonna work? And what do you think about it, just as a whole? Is it just too much? Are you worried that it might just get bigger and bigger as we go forward? Sony seems to always be the ones pushing the limits. They definitely had the most expensive console with the PS3. I think they set the peak for that, and I don't think anyone will ever hit that again. I hope. And maybe they're just doing it again, just size-wise. They're like, hey, we already have the most expensive. Let's just have the biggest, just because. They're trendsetters. That might be what they want to do. But either way, I want to know your thoughts on it, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. And, of course, thanks for watching.